What's up guys, Miles here with 9 to 5 Mac, and if you're a fan of good ideas, be sure to subscribe to the channel for future content like this. Today we have our deep dive on iOS 16, the developer beta 1, just going through all the major features and changes, so let's dive in. But first, a word from our sponsor. 9 to 5 Mac on YouTube is sponsored by iMazing. iMazing is truly the Swiss Army knife of iOS device management. This desktop application available for Mac and Windows is an awesome tool for data backups, transfers, and access to device and battery diagnostic tools. You can do wireless backups, which is great for Mac users with limited I/O. It's also great for users looking to try out the new iOS 16 beta. iMazing is an awesome backup tool for that. You can even save and export WhatsApp and iOS messages to a PDF file, XL, or plain text. You can effortlessly transfer music to your iOS device and play files back with the built-in music player. You've also got quick transfer, which allows you to drag and drop iOS supported files right to your device. To celebrate WWDC 2022, 9 to 5 Mac readers can click the first link in the description to get 30% off a full iMazing license until the end of June. So be sure to check that out if you're interested, and a big thanks again to iMazing for sponsoring 9 to 5 Mac on YouTube. So as I briefly went over in my top features video from last week, the lock screen is more or less the biggest feature for iOS 16 this time around. And there's a bunch of features we're going to get into here as far as customization and how deep you can go with that. As you can see, we've got a new design for the Now Playing widget. So it's firstly more towards the bottom of the lock screen. If you click on it, you can kind of drag it up to bring it towards the middle if you'd like. But this is the new design, and I think it's quite fitting for this update in my opinion. Another cool lock screen related feature is now that Face ID works in landscape mode, so you no longer have to have your iPhone in vertical mode for Face ID to work. If you're tired laying down in your bed, you can still use Face ID now. And of course, the notifications are now slightly redesigned as well, using bold text and now also being more designated towards the bottom of the lock screen. So when looking to create a new wallpaper, you're going to want to hit that plus symbol in the bottom right corner, and that's going to take you to your lock screen gallery, which is not only going to show you a bunch of themes you can go by to create new lock screens with wallpapers, but also gives you a bunch of featured preset ones created by Apple that you could either just use as is or even customize to make it your own. But as you can see, I hit people to add a new wallpaper, so that gave me a bunch of suggestions for people I can use to create wallpapers. And as you can see, we've got an option to do pets. So this is just machine learning being put to work, automatically detecting pets within your photo library to give you these options here. And then we've got nature, which is going to do the same thing, going through your photo library and finding photos that look like landscapes, sunsets, oceans, things like that. And then we've got our urban tab, which is going to show pictures of architecture, cars, cities, buildings, things like that. And then we've also got the option to select photos by albums, which is going to show all of your albums, including your shared albums. And then you've got photo shuffle, which allows you to select one or more photo themes, and then you're going to get a shuffle of photos within said theme that are going to change throughout the day based on a preset from iOS or your own customization. So you have the shuffle frequency option, which allows you to select hourly, daily, or you can have it set so that it just changes every time you wake up the phone. You're going to have a new wallpaper within that shuffle of photos. Here's an example of a photo shuffle I've just got a handful of car photos that I've taken over the past few months, and even after selecting all of these photos, I can still go in and change the shuffle frequency to daily, hourly, on wake, or on tap. When taking a look at some of the ways we can edit the photos that we have as wallpapers on our lock screen, we can firstly change any photo to black and white if we'd like, and then we have the ability to disable the depth effect, which essentially takes a subject out of the photo using machine learning and allows you to get a certain depth effect where certain parts of the subject may be behind or in front of the digital clock. It's a really neat but subtle effect. And then we've got the emoji wallpaper feature, which allows you to select one or up to a handful of different emojis and have them arranged in various different preset patterns on the wallpaper. So as you can see, I've got 6 different emojis in here. Well, technically 5, because I've got 2 of the same thumbs up. And then I can go in and choose between 6 different styles to give me a different look on the wallpaper. And in addition to that, we're given the option to change the background color to pretty much whatever you like. If you click the rainbow button in the corner, you're given some pretty fine-tuned options as far as getting the exact hue you're looking for. So you should have no problem getting the exact color you want if that's what you want to do. Next, we've got the weather wallpaper preset, which is pretty simple and leaves more or less no room for customization because it's merely giving you a wallpaper based on what's happening at your current location weather-wise. And then you've got the astronomy wallpaper feature, which is going to ask for your location firstly, because it's going to give you the option to get a more detailed Earth wallpaper based on your location, in addition to a broader Earth wallpaper as the first option. And then you're going to get two moon options, a broader moon option, and then a moon detail wallpaper. And then the last one you're going to get is a solar system wallpaper. And then the last wallpaper option is just a standard color wallpaper option, which will allow you to pick a gradient or a straight hue of a color. And of course, you're going to get that same rainbow button, which allows you to fine tune and really get the exact color you're looking for. And then after you've picked your color, you've got 6 different Apple preset options that kind of amplify the colors in different ways to give you a different look. And that's about it for the primary wallpaper categories. Within the lock screen gallery, you've also got the suggested photos tab of wallpapers, which are just a bunch of Apple pre-made wallpapers based on photos in your library. And then you've got more wallpaper options for the emojis and Apple's collection of wallpapers. There's a bunch of options to choose from here. And the other large half of all the new customization features coming to the lock screen in this beta is widgets. Currently, the widget options are pretty sparse, but hopefully they should expand over time. But we've got widget options for the date, the clock, your fitness, your reminders, pretty much all of the standard Apple applications that already have home screen widget support. The lock screen's digital clock is now editable as well. You've now got the option to choose between 6 different font styles and the ability to change it to any color you want. And I think the 6 preset font options for the digital clock are okay, but I think what would be really cool in a future update is the ability to import fonts from the font book or just fonts that you found online that you think are really cool. I think that'd be a great feature. And then the third row below the digital clock is where you're gonna have all of your interactive widgets. And like I said earlier, these are all pretty much the same widgets that you would have access to add on the home screen. And as far as how many widgets you can have within that third row, well, you've got a large size widget, as you can see here with that alarm widget, and then you've got these smaller widgets like the battery icon for my watch or my fitness rings for my Apple Watch. So you can have a combination of either 2 small widgets and 1 large widget, 2 large widgets, or 4 small widgets. But it's not currently possible to use any more than that at once. And then as you've seen, we've got lock screen switching. So we can create a lock screen and then switch between different ones that we've created and preset lock screens by Apple throughout the day or however often you'd like. But we can also assign different lock screens to certain focus modes. So that's going to take us into our next major part of iOS 16 features. As you can see, when clicking the link focus button, you get the option to link that said lock screen to a certain focus mode that you've got set up already. And there's a focus settings button at the bottom that you can hit if you want to make some changes to a certain focus mode before you commit a lock screen to it. So one of the biggest features coming to Focus is Focus Filters, which allows you to set boundaries within Apple apps like Calendar, Mail, Messages, and Safari, like you can see here, to draw boundaries for each focus you enable. For example, you can choose a set of tab groups to show up in Safari while in a certain work focus, or with the Messages app, you can filter certain people out so that when you're in a certain focus mode, you only see certain people in the messaging app. Everyone else will be non-existent. So with the way I've got my current Do Not Disturb focus set up, I have a certain group of people that can get notifications through to me, mainly my family members, when I'm on Do Not Disturb. And so that applies to the messaging app as well. So when I open up Messages, you'll see that there's only a few people that I can message currently. And then we've got system filters as well, which currently gives you an option to either enable low power mode when turning on a certain filter, or enable light mode or dark mode when enabling a certain focus filter. And then we've got focus schedules, which is a really cool feature that allows you to automatically turn on a focus based on it being a certain time, you being at a certain location, or you opening a certain application. And it doesn't have to be just one application. You can pick as many as you'd like. There are honestly a bunch of new major features and changes that have come to the Messages application, the first big one being the fact that you can now edit messages up to 15 minutes after sending them. So if you want to change a message you sent, all you have to do is long press it, and you can edit the message to whatever you'd like. And in the little text area where you'd normally see the words delivered or read, it'll now say delivered and edited, or read and edited. And as long as the person you're sending that message to is also running iOS 16 or later, they will also see that the message was edited. They'll see that little edited prompt at the bottom. You can now also undo any messages up to 15 minutes after sending it. So right above the edit button, you see the undo send, you tap that, and you get a little animation with a little prompt saying that the person, if they're not running iOS 16 or later, will still see said message. It's also now possible to recover recently deleted messages in iMessage for up to 30 days after deleting them. You can now also mark messages as unread. So if you go out of your messages, select a conversation, hit mark as unread, you'll see that blue icon reappear next to the contact. And if you want to reverse it, you can just go back in and hit mark as read. You've now also got share play features via messages. So you can share synchronized activities like movies, music, workout, games, and more with friends while chatting in iMessage. So you can see here, if I go into Apple Music, I can start a share play session with someone via messages, and then once they're invited, they can join and listen in with you. The Mail app in iOS 16 comes with a handful of pretty useful features and changes, the first one being Smart Search Suggestions, which gives you a more richer and detailed view of content based on said search in the Mail search bar. Probably the biggest new feature for the Mail app is the Send Later feature, so you can now schedule out your emails from the Mail app to be sent out at whatever time you desire. So when you hit that blue arrow, it's now going to give you the option to just send now, send at 9 p.m. that night, send at 9 p.m. the next day, or find a specific date and time to schedule that email out. And after you've scheduled that email out, you can reference it again in the new Send Later tab, which will show you all of your emails that you have set to be scheduled to set up, which will show you all of your emails that you have currently sent to be scheduled out. And if you want, you can move message to a different category or delete the message entirely and cancel it from being sent. We've got two new mail menus within the application in iOS 16, those being Follow Up and Remind Me. Follow Up is meant to be a place where you put emails that you need to follow up on in case the recipient hasn't gotten back to you yet. And Remind Me is a place where you store all of your emails that you need to reply to but just haven't gotten to yet. Another cool feature is rich links, which allows you to paste a link into the body of your message, and you'll see that when you paste it, you get an image preview of the said web page. And if you long press on that preview, you can expand the web page and view it. Safari in iOS 16 comes with some brand new features, including some updates to tab groups. The first thing you can do is now do shared tab groups, which allows you to share tab groups with any of your friends within Messages or other applications. They can see that tab group and instantly view web pages and add tabs to said tab group. And as you can see, tab groups now have dedicated start pages. So you can have certain tab groups with dedicated start pages that you can customize to your liking. You can change the background and do all sorts of things like that. You can now also pin tabs within tab groups by simply long pressing, hit pin tab, and it'll now be minimized and brought up to the very top at the pin tab section. You've now got website settings sync across your different Apple devices. So as you can see here, if I make changes to the web page on my iPad running iPadOS 16, after a few seconds it will update on my iPhone as well. It's not exactly real time, but I'd say it's close enough. iOS can now also sync extensions from Safari across devices. So if I download an extension on my iPad, momentarily after installing it, I should see the option to download it appear in the extensions page on my iPhone. Whenever creating an account for something, usually Safari will suggest a strong password for you to use that's safe, but now when you click on other options, you'll get the ability to edit said strong password, so you can go in and make specific changes to that password that you'd like, and then save that password to your keychain. Safari also now has support for web page image translation, so this is kind of an offshoot of the live text feature, but essentially when viewing an image On a Safari web page, you can long press that text and actually highlight it and try to translate it. Now, this isn't a perfect feature thus far, it's still in beta as you can tell, but the groundwork is there. And as far as other language related updates in Safari, you've now got additional support for page translation for Turkish, Thai, Vietnamese, Polish, Indonesian, and Dutch. A feature that was announced for iOS 16 but has not been enabled in the current beta is Passkeys. And this is essentially Apple's attempt at trying to phase out the traditional alphanumeric passwords and replace them with a specific sign-in method that can't be exposed in data leaks and things of that nature. The sync will be end-to-end across all of your different Apple devices, and you'll be able to save passkeys in your iCloud keychain. That's definitely a feature I'm looking forward to testing out in future betas. And going back to live text, there's been a general update for live text, which now allows it to support video in iOS 16. So if I want, I can go into my camera roll, select a video, pause on a specific frame, and then find text within said frame, click and hold on it, and if it's recognized, you'll have the ability to copy text, look it up, and get all sorts of information based on what it can find. And just like I've mentioned in other iOS videos, this is just one of many reasons why live text has become one of my favorite iOS features in recent years. Live text also adds support for Japanese, Korean, and Ukrainian text. Everyone's favorite AI-based voice assistant Siri has gotten a few neat and useful features, I might add. The first of which being a vocal hang-up feature. So now in the Siri and search settings, you can toggle a feature that allows you to say, "Hey Siri, hang up." You can now also prompt Siri by saying, "Hey, what can I do here?" And it'll give you a few options of things you can ask Siri to do. You can now also send emojis in text with Siri. So when verbalizing a message through Siri, just say something along the lines of crying face emoji, for example, for this what you're seeing right now, and it'll send that emoji. And for those of you who are tired of having to double confirm messages being sent through Siri, there's now an option to automatically send messages through Siri, so you no longer have to confirm each time you verbalize a message to be sent. And you can toggle this feature based on whether you have headphones connected or you're connected through CarPlay. There's been a handful of major changes made to Dictation. It's almost like a completely new experience. Firstly, you can now dictate and type on a keyboard simultaneously, and what I mean by that is, if you firstly engage a text field and hit the dictate button, you can start speaking whatever you'd like to speak, and of course the text will pop up, but you can also add text on top of that, and then go back to speaking, so you can have this combination of speaking plus physical typing, which is really cool. As you can see here in the Messages app, on the right side of the text box field, you've now got a dictation icon that you can simply click if you want to enable it. And in addition to having emoji support just like Siri does, Dictation also supports automatic punctuation. So if you start speaking, it'll automatically punctuate based on the way it perceives you to sound. We've got a few new features coming to the Maps application, the first of which being able to add multiple stops along your driving route. So if you want to plan out a route, you can start it on Mac and it will actually sync to your iPhone when you're ready to go. You can now also add transit cards to Wallet, see your low balances, and replenish it all without leaving the Maps application, as well as getting a view of transit fares for each journey. A few new wallet features include being able to share your ID cards in supported applications, which there are none really so far because there are only 2 states that support ID cards for the Apple Wallet thus far. But other features coming down the line in iOS 16 is key sharing, which allows you to share your keys securely in Wallet using some of your favorite apps like messaging, mail, or WhatsApp. You've also got Apple's Pay Later program coming soon, which will allow you to split Apple Pay payments into 4 equal payments over 6 weeks. The Apple Home app has been redesigned that makes it a lot easier to navigate, organize, view, and control all of your Apple HomeKit compatible accessories, and really just make the app easier to use. All of your accessories have been redesigned to tiles, so the different accessories are more visually recognizable through their shape and their color, and they can be controlled directly by tapping the tile's icon or tapping the accessory's name. You've now also got dedicated categories for your different products, including security, climate, lights, speakers, and TV, as well as water. And you can organize these different accessories based on the room and relevance. The new update for the Home app allows for up to 4 camera views to be displayed right front and center in the Home tab, as well as a new whole house view, so you can see your entire home at a glance in the redesigned tab. And you've got all new widgets for the Home app on the lock screen that let you see the status of your home and your favorite accessories right from the lock screen. And outside of all of that, there have been general enhancements to the architecture for the Home app, allowing for faster and more reliable performance with all of your accessories. And there's going to be a feature coming later this year to the Home app called Matter, which is going to allow for a new connectivity standard that will enable compatible accessories to work together seamlessly and across different platforms. The Health app in iOS 16 has gotten some pretty notable features and changes, the first of which being able to create a list of medications and track them. So when going into your health categories, you'll now see medications, and you can hit add a medication to add whatever medication you're taking via either a photo or just manually typing it in. And after you find the medication you're looking for, you can customize how often you're supposed to be taking it, so the application knows to remind you. You can hit every day or every other day or a specific schedule, and then select a certain time of day on top of that. And if you have multiple medications that you need to keep track of, you can also add visual icons to distinguish one from another. You can select a symbol and then go on to select a specific color for said symbol. And once you've done that, you can give your medication a nickname and give even more details in the notes section. You've also got the new medication interactions feature, which will give you specific alerts based on you admitting to doing other drugs or alcohol at the same time of taking certain medications. And if you need to share a medications list with a family member, friend, or doctor, you can also export your medication list as a PDF that you can easily print, which is a really convenient feature. iOS has had health sharing within the health application, which allows you to share your health data with other people, but now you have the ability to invite someone to share their health data with you. The Fitness app has always been available for iPhone users with an Apple Watch, but now the Fitness app is now available for all iPhone users, period. So you can now take advantage of this application without needing to purchase an Apple Watch first. Family sharing is a new iOS feature that not only allows you to share your subscriptions, downloaded and purchased media, and other content with up to 5 people, but there are other specific settings like Quick Start, which allows you to easily set up a device for your kids with all the preset parental controls already in place. You can also now send screen time requests through messages if your kids want to get more screen time on their device with permission from you. You've also got Family Checklists, which will give you updated tips and suggestions for your child's settings as they grow. iOS 16 comes with some pretty important privacy updates as well, the first of which being a new safety feature called Safety Check. And this is a new menu in settings that allows people in domestic or intimate partner violence situations to quickly reset or deny access that they've granted to others, such as your location and things like that. And it also helps you just simply manage which people you've given apps and access to specific things to. There's also a new feature called Pasteboard Permission, which will now prompt you when an app is seeking to paste something that's in your clipboard. It will now prompt you to paste said thing in your clipboard before just doing it. In the past, certain apps would just automatically paste that content, but now it's going to ask you first. And now within the Photos app, all of your hidden and recently deleted albums are going to be locked by default, and you'll have to use Face ID, Touch ID, or your passcode to unlock them. There are a bunch of new features and changes coming to the accessibility menu in iOS 16. And one of the first major features is live caption. So now live text is generally automated for real-time users who are deaf or hard of hearing within certain applications like watching a YouTube video or getting a phone call from someone. You can now get live text fed to you at the bottom of the display in this little gray tab right there. And just like with regular automated caption software, the latency isn't going to be non-existent per se. There's definitely going to be a tad bit of a delay, and the accuracy isn't 100% either as far as being able to recognize the text for certain situations, but I'd say for the most part, if the audio is clear cut and strongly worded, I feel as though this feature works very well. Within the sound recognition menu, you've now got a bunch of additional customization options, such as being able to train your iPhone to listen to very specific sounds, such as is the beeping of an electrical appliance or the precise ring of a doorbell in your home. You can go as far as giving a doorbell a specific name and then playing the doorbell sound 5 times so that your iPhone can be trained to recognize the sound. Another new Siri-related feature is called Siri Pause Time, which allows you to choose how long it takes for Siri to respond after you've given it a prompt. So you've got longer and longest, and this will delay the amount of time it takes for Siri to respond to you after giving it a prompt. I tested this feature out, giving Siri a basic prompt, and there's definitely at least a solid 1.5 second extra that you have to wait when clicking longest as opposed to the default time. You've got some new accessibility features within the magnifier application, including door detection and detection mode. Door detection allows you to simply locate a door, and it'll give you descriptions on the signs and labels around it, or give you instructions on how to open the door. And then the general detection mode will just give you rich descriptions of your surroundings with a new magnifier mode that contains door detection, people detection, and image descriptions. And now you've got support for Siri to announce notifications on made-for-iPhone hearing devices like hearing aids and hearing amplifiers. We've got a few new updates with the Books application by Apple. Firstly, the audiobook player has been completely redesigned and revamped with player controls and a mini player that makes it easy to keep listening as you browse the book store. You've also got a much more customizable reading experience with options to change the background themes, the font, the spacing, the size of the text, and other things to just get the visuals of the reading experience set to however you'd like it to be. A few new camera features coming to iOS 16 includes the ability to blur the foreground in portrait photos. So now you can click on the foreground of a subject and you'll see the background get blurred out. You've also now got slightly improved quality when recording videos in cinematic mode. The depth of field effect is slightly more accurate for profile angles and edge detection in cinematic mode. Within the dictionary in iOS 16, we've got support for 7 new bilingual dictionaries, including Bangla English, Czech English, Finnish English, Hungarian English, Kannada English, Malayalam English, and Turkish English. We've got a few new updates coming to the Game Center, including Activity, which allows you to see your friends' play activity and achievements all in one place in the redesigned Game Center dashboard. And you can now also link Game Center profiles to specific contacts, so when you look at a certain contact, you can view all of their Game Center information that's public to you. And of course, we've got Share Play support for Game Center, so if you're playing a game and also in a FaceTime call, you can just hit share within that game and start share playing with whoever you're calling. Keyboard updates in iOS 16 mainly include new support for new inputs for different languages and new support for different emojis in different languages, but the biggest feature that arguably everyone has been talking about with the keyboard is finally getting support for haptic feedback on the stock iOS keyboard, which is something, when I think about it, is crazy that we've been missing up until iOS 16. I've been using Gboard on iOS for as long as I've been using iOS, and that keyboard has always had haptic feedback, so using that all the time, I didn't even realize it was missing on iOS, but I'm glad we finally got it now. When taking a look at updates to Memoji, we firstly got 6 new expressive poses that we can choose from. And now we have the ability to use all Memoji stickers as contact pictures. And there are 3 new contact sticker poses to choose from. In the new hairstyles menu, we've now got 17 new hairstyles and minor updates to existing styles, including new curly styles, tight curl styles, box braids, boxer braids, things like that. Apple finally catching up to the fact that there's more than 2 different kinds of hair. We've also got the addition of bonnets in the headwear category, which I think is also pretty long overdue. We've got options for more noses within that category, and then we've also got the option to customize your Memoji with more options for a more neutral lip color. There's only really one update to the music app, and that's now the fact that you're going to be getting notifications and improved recommendations within the music app based on some of your favorite artists in your library. The News app in iOS 16 has gotten some updates, but the biggest update is arguably the new My Sports feature, and this allows you to select one or more specific teams within the league and follow them within Apple News. And you can customize your My Sports feed to see the latest stories, watch highlights, get scores, schedules, and the current standings for your favorite teams, whether it be for baseball, basketball, football, and so on. In addition to the news app orienting your feed to include more local news based on your location, there's now a favorites tab which allows you to quickly access the channels and topics you care about the most with a little bit of customization. You've got some updates to the Notes app in iOS 16, but the first of which is a system-wide feature allowing you to create quick notes from any app in the iPhone by just hitting the share menu. So if I go in here in this music app and hit the share button, I've now got the option to create a new quick note, even though it's completely unrelated to my music player. A neat security feature in Notes app is being able to now lock your notes with your iPhone's passcode as opposed to just Face ID. In addition to enhanced smart folder organization, being able to group your notes by date or filter your notes by specific criteria, you can also now collaborate on notes using a link. So you hit share and you can use the collaboration feature to share a specific note via a simple link. We've got some new FaceTime features as well, and one of the biggest ones is handoff, which is what I featured in my initial iOS 16 video, and this simply allows you to switch devices during an active FaceTime call. So if you're on your FaceTime call on your iPhone and you want to join the call on your iPad, all you have to do is click the little call icon right where the clock normally is, and you can seamlessly switch calls. And as you might have saw when we were going over the accessibility features earlier, we've now got live captions in FaceTime as well as YouTube and other media and audio related applications. So anyone participating in the call, you'll see exactly what they're saying with said name attached to the text. So it's not just a bunch of random text coming through, you can at least know who's saying what. Another cool feature is the Share Play app discovery feature, which is going to show you applications that you have installed that you can be used for Share Play within an active FaceTime call or something like that. And when you click on more, it will take you to the App Store where it shows you a bunch of other applications that are compatible with Share Play as well. You've also got support for collaboration within FaceTime. So during an active FaceTime call, you can click the share button on a certain application like Safari. You can hit the share button and collaborate with people that are actively in the FaceTime call. The Photos app has gotten a bunch of useful updates in iOS 16, the first of which being duplicate detection. So you can see here down at the bottom at the utilities, there are a bunch of duplicate photos that were automatically detected by iOS, and you can go in, verify, and or delete said images if you'd like. And as I mentioned earlier, you can lock hidden and recently deleted albums. Another really cool feature within the Photos app is now being able to make edits to a photo and then copy those same edits and paste them onto an entirely different photo. So as you can see here, I'm making some slight changes to this picture of this McLaren. I can save this edit, then I can just simply go to the next picture, hit the menu button again, and then hit paste edits, and then we've got the edit that was from the previous photo. And you're not only able to paste edits onto one photo, you can select up to as many photos as you'd like and do batch edits and paste a bunch of edits onto a bunch of different photos if you'd like, which is a pretty cool feature. The Photos app will go in through all your photos and detect faces and make people out of those faces, and you can now go into the people category and sort them by name as opposed to a custom order. You can also now tap to restart a video in your memory section so that while a video is playing a memory, you can restart that video and play it from the beginning while the music continues to play. The Reminders app in iOS 16 gets some important updates and features, the first of which is being able to pin your favorite list. So when you long pressed a certain list and hit pin, it's now going to be moved to a different category where you can access it more quickly. Another cool feature is being able to save a specific list as a template so that you can reuse it if you've got a certain routine that you like to do often, or just need to make a template of something to make a list easier for others to comprehend and use. Because you are able to publish and share a template with others or download templates that other people have created. And in addition to some improvements for listing and organization within Notes, you've also got richer notes, which allows you to create bullets, underline, bold, or strike through text when adding notes to your reminders. The biggest new change to the home screen in iOS 16 is the addition of a spotlight search button in the place of where your home screen page icons used to be. You can now click this button as opposed to swiping down to access the spotlight menu. And when searching for content within the spotlight menu, you're now getting a lot more improvements as far as results. You're going to be getting web images when you search certain things. You're going to be getting application recommendations, photos from certain applications, sports recommendations if applicable, pretty much everything it can come up with to give you the most comprehensive search result possible. And if you want to disable the search button on the home screen, all you have to do is go into the home screen settings in the settings and disable that toggle. As far as system-wide support for new languages in iOS 16, we now have support for Bulgarian and Kazakh. A big feature coming to the Translate app in iOS 16 is the Translate camera, which allows you to translate text around you using the camera. So the way it works is you put an object with some text or put the camera over some foreign text in frame, and then you take the picture and it will simply try to decipher the text. And as you can see here, it definitely took me a few times to get the text right on this drumstick here. This is Japanese text on the drumstick, and it definitely took me 3 or 4 times to get it right, at least while recording this video, but after a bunch of attempts, it did actually get it correct. So clearly a beta feature, but I think it's very promising. The translation app is also now adding system-wide translation support for Turkish, Thai, Vietnamese, Polish, Indonesian, and Dutch. Probably one of my favorite new features of iOS 16 in general is the new visual lookup feature. So this essentially allows you to take a photo within your camera roll, within your photo library, and it will basically detect a subject within that photo based on whatever is the most prominent or whatever is directly in the center of the image. You long press and hold on said subject, and you'll see this white line that outlines the entire subject. And then you'll have the option to either copy the subject or share it within a specific application. So if I go to messages here, I just double tap, hit paste, and the subject will be there. Easy peasy, no waiting times or anything like that. I think that's a pretty cool feature. And like I said, it will very easily detect people, cars, and just whatever object is the most prominent and obvious subject, quote unquote, within a photo. I think it's a super awesome feature. So last but not least, we've got a few updates to the weather application in iOS 16. The first feature being the fact that you now get severe weather notifications. So if there's a severe heat warning or a flood warning or a tornado warning, you will be notified of that. And as you can see here, we've got more weather details within every module in the weather app. So if we tap on any module here, we'll get much deeper analytics and data on the weather for the day or the week. But that's more or less it as far as major features and changes with iOS 16. I gotta say, this is more on the stable side as far as betas I've tried in the past few years from Apple, at least as far as iOS is concerned. So I'd say if you're on the fence of installing this beta or giving it a try based on bugs and stability, I will say yes, of course there's going to be bugs, but it definitely is usable by my standards at least. Your battery life will take a hit for sure, especially on your Apple Watch if you have one, even if your Apple Watch isn't running beta software. For whatever reason, iOS 16 seems to be draining the Apple Watch more, at least in my case with my Series 5. But outside of that, it hasn't been too bad. But let us know in the comment section down below, what is your favorite iOS feature of this beta so far, and what features that aren't enabled yet are you looking forward to the most? Let us know about that or any other feedback in the comment section down below. And if you enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe for future content like this. I'll talk to you guys in the next one. 9to5Mac on YouTube is sponsored by iMazing. iMazing is truly the Swiss Army knife of iOS device management. This desktop application available for Mac and Windows is an awesome tool for data backups, transfers, and access to device and battery diagnostic tools. You can do wireless backups, which is great for Mac users with limited I/O. It's also great for users looking to try out the new iOS 16 beta. iMazing is an awesome backup tool for that. You can even save and export WhatsApp and iOS messages to a PDF file, Excel, or plain text. You can effortlessly wirelessly transfer music to your iOS device and play files back with the built-in music player. You've also got quick transfer, which allows you to drag and drop iOS supported files right to your device. iMazing is constantly being updated to be compatible with the latest iOS and macOS features, so you should have no worry about being left behind as far as functionality is concerned. To celebrate WWDC 2022, 9to5Mac readers can click the first link in the description to get 30% off a full iMazing license until the end of June, so be sure to check that out if you're interested, and a big thanks again to iMazing for sponsoring 9to5Mac on YouTube.